right? In the next couple moments, I'm gonna show you why your suffering does not come from your ex, doesn't come from your job, your money problems, the situationship you got going on, how your suffering is coming from time. And I'm not talking about the clock on the wall, I'm talking about psychological time. Once you see how this works, you will understand why your life is feeling so heavy all the time. And more importantly, you will know how you can end that suffering today. So I just want you to understand there are two types of time. Now, whenever I say this to people, especially to my clients, they always think, what you mean? What you mean there's two types of time? There's just one type of time. It's time, right? No, we have clock time and we have psychological time. It is very important that you know the difference between the two. Clock time is very practical. We need clock time. There's a reason why clock time was created. It's so we can function in the modern world. It's so we can make a train on time. We can catch a flight on time. We can be somewhere for a specific time. We got like a business project going on, it's so we can meet a specific deadline, right? It's very practical, especially in the modern world. We actually we'd be pretty fucked without it. Then there is psychological time. And this is when your mind is constantly living in past and future. You're either regretting something that you've done in the past, something that's happened, or you are constantly worrying about something that is about to happen in the future that hasn't happened yet. This is a psychological split that will rip you apart in so many different ways. And it's probably ripping you apart right now because it is an illusion. This is when they say time is an illusion, right? Because time is only now. If you went back thousands of years ago when clock time didn't even exist, right? When we didn't even have a digital fucking clock. If you went back thousands of years ago and you asked, a hunter or anyone that was around, what time is it? What do you think they're gonna say? They're gonna say, well, time's now, right? There has never been a time in your life when time wasn't now, because life never exists in the past, it never exists in the future, it always comes as this present moment. This is why I always talk about this, because it's the only thing that exists. Because when you are identified with psychological time, when you're caught in psychological time, you are always in a state of not enough. You're always in a state of worrying or chasing, resisting. This is suffering. And 99% of the population on this earth is living this way, right? This is a real fucking pandemic. I promise you, like this, if everyone understood this, no one would suffer. Being identified with the mind and being identified with psychological time especially is the root of all suffering. It's the root of all anxiety, it's the root of all depression, because you are lacking present moment awareness. You're trying to think of a situation that hasn't happened yet. Stress is caused by being here, but mentally you're wanting to be somewhere else. Of course you're going to be stressed. How could you cope with a situation that isn't happening right now? And this ties into my next point that most people don't even realize. Everyone thinks that they have problems, right? They think their life is fucked and they're suffering because of these problems. But you have no problems. Problems don't even exist. Life never gives you problems. Life only gives you situations. Most people's lives, including mine, is full of situations. You're never gonna have a life that hasn't got any situations. And situations, they're either dealt with or they're accepted and let go. Why make them into a problem? It's because you unconsciously fucking love problems. I hate to break it to you, but you unconsciously are addicted to problems. You crave them. You crave the stimulation. You crave the stimulation that having problems gives you. Your ego feeds off of problems. Your ego is like every other organism on this planet. It needs food to survive. Your ego's food, problems, creating problems, mentally creating problems in your life, turning situations into problems. The reason why the ego does this is because it makes you feel like somebody. It gives you something to talk about. I'm the one with all these struggles. I'm the one with all of these issues going on. I've got all this weight on my shoulders. Your ego loves that, thrives off it. It's its fuel. It needs food, and it gives you. You're addicted to this. Unconsciously, you are addicted to this. You're probably now just realizing that. Say I magically removed every single one of your problems in your life right now, and you didn't become more present and you didn't become more aware of this problem, dysfunction making of the mind, you would soon find yourself running into more problems pretty much instantly, because the ego needs it. It needs the food to keep it surviving. Like I said, life itself is just full of situations, right? Even a Tibetan monk who meditates all day has situations. Like I said, situations, they're either dealt with or they're accepted and let it go. Because the dysfunction comes from how we label them in our minds. So how do we end this cycle, and how do we break identification from psychological time, end our problems, so that we can clear all suffering and access the present moment and have more clarity and more joy and more peace come into our life? Step one, you need to catch yourself in time. You need to break identification with time, and you need to step out of the time dimension, as Eckhart Tolle says. You do this by catching yourself going into past and going into future as much as you possibly can. This is actually a skill. And the more you do this, the better you become at it, and the more present moment awareness just becomes your baseline. The moment you notice that you aren't present and you're trapped in past and future, that noticing, that is presence, and that's what breaks identification with psychological time and puts you back into the timeless dimension, the now. Step number 2, reframe your problems as situations. Next time you catch yourself saying, I've got this problem, switch it and reframe it to saying, this is my situation, right, we can either deal with it, what's the plan of attack, can we deal with it? If there's no physical, proactive solution there for you to deal with that situation, that problem, then accept it and let it go. Move on. Next time you have a problem situation, just ask yourself, can I take action on this now? Is there a solution to this issue, this situation we got going on? Can I accept it for what it is and let it go and move on? That shift takes away the ego getting involved. You're blocking the ego from getting involved there because you're viewing it as a situation. You're being proactive for once in your life. Step number 3, train your present moment awareness. Anchor yourself into the now. This is going to be the cure for all of your issues you have going on right now. All the suffering you have going on right now, this is the cure. Presence is multi-sensory, right? If you're in a room full of people, you start getting social anxiety, you start thinking of your problems, you're trapped in psychological time, past and future. Just feel your surroundings, notice your surroundings, pay attention, smell the room. Hear the vibrations of people speaking. You can feel your hands. Like, your presence is, the more body awareness you have as well, the more anchored you are into this moment. Use your senses fully. You can look around, pay attention to the room. It's going to anchor you because this is the moment, right? Wherever you are. Breathe. Breathing is life, right? Breathing is life force. You can't consciously think while consciously being aware of your breath. Try it. Inhale and try consciously think of something while you're aware of your breath. You break the loop of the mind. These are your 3 access points: body, breath, and eyes. So when you catch yourself drifting into thought loops, just bring yourself back into the present moment, and you will break identification with the mind, break identification with psychological time, and you will step into the timeless dimension where no problems exist. These aren't complicated practices. I bet you was waiting for some shiny object, the next new thing to solve all your issues. It's none of that. We're returning back to the basics. When you start repeating these processes and when you start repeating these little practices, you will find that you have less problems that you need to solve, and life starts feeling more vibrant. You feel more interested, you feel more aware. So break identification with the mind. Become aware of the problem dysfunction making of the mind as well, how you unconsciously love problems. You're probably, after this video, you're probably going to notice how much you've been craving the stimulation and the arousal you get inside of you from when you have problems and when you identify problems. So if you want to end suffering, you need to break identification with psychological time. You need to become aware of the problem dysfunction making of the mind, and you need to return back to this moment. When you do this, what you are going to notice is how all of your suffering just seems to dissolve bit by bit, and then you are just anchored into this moment where no problems exist, my friend. Look, if you want to go deeper into this and you want to build unshakable presence, you want to make this your aura, you want to be known as that person who is calm, collected, have serious clarity and focus going forward, then go subscribe to my channel. This channel is all about ending mental clutter, breaking free from the mind, raising your awareness and enhancing your focus so that you can live as your best self.